Let's talk about installing and configuring an on-prem Qlik Sense server. I think there's a lot of noise around what exactly is needed to get Qlik Sense server installed and ready to be used by users. And after doing dozens of Qlik Sense installs, I can tell you that there's really just a handful of things that need to be done to get Qlik Sense server up and running. There are 6 things to do before installation and 7 things after. Let's see what they are. So the first thing that is needed before you install Qlik Sense is an admin account that will be used to install and operate Qlik Sense. You'll need an account like this one, and it will need to be part of the local administrators group on your Qlik Sense server. The next thing you'll need is a shared network directory. It's essentially just a folder that Qlik Sense can use to store apps and extensions and logs and other things. In my case, I have this folder that's called QS root, and if I go to the folder's properties, you can see that it is shared. So you'll need a shared folder like this one for your Qlik Sense server. The third thing that you will need is Microsoft Visual C++ Redistributable installed. Now, this is only needed if you are installing these versions of Qlik Sense. If you're installing some other versions of Qlik Sense, you don't need to worry about having it installed. And by the way, you can check to see if you have it installed or not by going to the apps and feature settings and looking for Microsoft Visual C++ Redistributable. The fourth thing that you will need is port 443 open in Windows Firewall. If the server where Qlik Sense is installed doesn't have an inbound rule permitting connections on port 443, users won't be able to access your Qlik Sense server. And if you don't have a rule like this one in your Windows Server Firewall, reach out to your security team and ask them to create one for you. The fifth thing that you will need is PostgreSQL server. PostgreSQL is a database server that Qlik Sense uses to store apps and data connections and security rules and many other things. PostgreSQL can be installed either manually or automatically as part of Qlik Sense installation process. I prefer the manual installation as it gives me more control over upgrade schedule and the version of PostgreSQL that I'd like to use for my Qlik Sense servers. The last thing that you will need to have before installing Qlik Sense is a certificate. This is needed to secure communications between your Qlik Sense server and user PCs that access Qlik Sense. Your company likely has its own internal certification authority. So if you don't already have a certificate generated and installed, you can reach out to your IT team and ask them to generate one for you. Now, once you have these 6 things in place, you are ready to install Qlik Sense. And once you have Qlik Sense installed, you will need to do these 7 things next. So the first thing you will need to do is activate your Qlik Sense server. When you open up Qlik Sense Management Console after installing Qlik Sense, you will see this screen. What you'll need to do is simply paste the Qlik Sense server license here and click the apply button, and that will activate your Qlik Sense server. And now once Qlik Sense is activated, next thing you'll need to do is create a user directory connector. User directory connector is needed to import a list of users and information about these users that you can use to create security rules, allocate user licenses, and control who gets access to what. The third thing you will need to create is license allocation rules. Users will need a license to access Qlik Sense, and creating license allocation rules will help you avoid needing to allocate a license to each user manually. License allocation rules can be created by going to license management section of QMC, then going either to professional access rules or analyzer access rules, and clicking the create new button. The first thing that you will need to do to configure proxy, the first thing that you will need to do is configure proxy security settings. If you have obtained SSL or TLS certificate for your server, you will need to tell Qlik Sense to start using it. And you can do that by going to Proxies section in QMC, then selecting the central proxy, clicking the Edit button, enabling the security properties, and pasting the certificate's thumbprint, and then clicking the Apply button. And once you have proxy configuration settings set, the next thing is to configure. The next step is to configure virtual proxy. This step is only required if there is a server named alias through which users can access your Qlik Sense server. For example, this Qlik Sense server is named qs-dev-ce-01. But it also has an alias, which is BIA-dev. And to enable users accessing Qlik Sense Hub through server alias, you'll need to configure advanced virtual proxy settings. And once configured, users will be able to access the hub through a much more intuitive and shorter URL. Once virtual proxy is configured, the next thing you need to do is create and install an encryption key for web connectors. Encryption key is used to protect data connections to data sources like GitHub or Google Drive, Facebook, and many others. And without an encryption key, users won't be able to create data connections to these data sources. And I put together a guide in my Deploy and Configure Qlik Sense course showing exactly how to generate and install an encryption key. And the link to the course is in the description. Now, the next and final step that you need to do is upgrade PostgreSQL password hashing algorithm. Now, this is only needed if you have installed a bundled PostgreSQL server, and you can check your password hashing algorithm by launching command prompt, logging into your PostgreSQL server, and running the show password encryption command. If this command returns MD5, that means that you're using old vulnerable password hashing algorithm, and it should be upgraded to a newer, more secure SCRAM SHA-256 algorithms. And steps for upgrading PostgreSQL password hashing algorithm are also covered in Deploy and Configure Qlik Sense course. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I am excited to share another one with you tomorrow. And for more Qlik Sense server tips and exclusive lessons, check out howdash.com.